Hello, and welcome to the Beyond Social Media Show. This is episode number 175, and Dave Erickson is traveling this week, and I have the honor of having our friend Albert Marucci here co-hosting with me, which is really fun because when we started this show, 3 years ago, it was me and Dave and Albert. So you will be hearing from Albert Marucci tonight. And we've got a lot to cover tonight on the podcast for marketing, advertising, public relations, and communications professionals. We're recording live on YouTube on February 16th, 2017. And among the topics we're going to cover tonight, NASA's Space Poop Challenge, Mark Zuckerberg saves the world, Burger King's adult toys, social Springer Spaniels, Planet of the Apps, a self-taught star, a deluxe small business revolution, Trump's power tweets, and a Twitter money mystery. And we've decided to start our show with the best and try and save the minimal bad news for last because there's enough bad news in the world. So I always get to start off with the worst, but tonight I'm going to start with the best. And this is a story of great social and political import and wonderful news for future astronauts. At last, there is an answer to the Space Poop Challenge. That's your dog, eh?
That's a dog. I'm going to let her out.
Yeah, no, she could stay. So as you probably know, there are no toilets in space. And so is she okay?
Back.
Okay. Benny used to bring me his loudest squeaky toy, but these days he sleeps through the show. I don't know what that means. But anyway, astronauts famously wear diapers inside their spacesuits because nature's calls when you're in space or tootling around in your spaceship are rather difficult. And there had to be a better way, NASA thought. So while most of us are really pretty much unaffected by this, it's a challenge for our brave astronauts, especially since sometimes they have to dwell inside their spacesuits for like up to 6 days. And after all, when you got to go, you got to go. And sometimes you got to go in a vacuum. So NASA held a competition, and it was called the Space Poop Challenge, and it was held by NASA Tournament Labs, and it was aimed at finding a safe, medically sound solution to taking waste away from astronauts' bodies. And they sought, on their site, it said they sought solutions for fecal urine and menstrual management systems for the crew's launch and entry suits for up to 6 days. And so now the winner has been announced. And this was the prize winner is Thatcher Carden. He's a family physician, an Air Force officer, and a flight surgeon. And his system, which I probably can't pronounce, is Mace's Perineal Access and Toileting System. And apparently he utilized his knowledge of keyhole surgery. Whatever it is, I don't exactly understand, but in any case, there's more than 5,000 proposed solutions, 19,000 registered competitors, 150 teams from every continent on Earth, and Team Space Poop Unification of Doctors, otherwise known as SPUDS, had an air-powered spacesuit waste disposal system, and Hugh Shelley's swimsuit zero-gravity underwear for 6-day use were the runners-up. We'll have a video about it in the show notes.
This is a good one. I may have to use one of those as I get older, so I'm not this.
Give us one of yours, Albert.
Oh, well, okay. So because the dog barked, BL, I've got to go with the social spaniels.
Well, go right ahead. We love anything.
I got to go with the
social
spaniels.
Okay.
Look, the thing about social media and the things that we like to do on Beyond Social Media is to try and draw common threads so that other marketers can use it in perhaps their area. So I want to direct your attention, viewers, to Meadowland Springers. Now, Meadowland Springers is a breeder of Springer Spaniels, both bench and field Springer Spaniels, based in Baltic, South Dakota. This is a little bit north of Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Now, the beauty of their social media participation, they have a great website where they utilize pictures and videos, and they have a Facebook page. That's it. One can make the case that they should be on Twitter, but only a Facebook page. The thing about it is when you look at puppies, right? This is a product that has both a pedigree, you want to know where it came from, and how it's doing over time. So you have this chronological product that has personality and ages and illnesses and what have you. And so the whole idea of their participation, when I say their, I mean Meadowlands Springers, on social media is to introduce you to the mother and father of a particular litter, right? And to describe the personalities and the traits of that particular litter and their puppies, as well as the parents. Now, on social media, on the Facebook page, they get a ton of engagement. Why? BL, you and I know we're dog lovers.
Yeah.
And so we like to share pictures with our dog, share situations about our dog. And so there's this beautiful community of engagement that you have with puppies. Now, what other products could this be? Maybe organic farming, right? Where you want to know where certain things are grown, the type of a soil that it's grown in. Maybe classic cars. Yes, like Mustang or Thunderbirds.
The communities of people around those.
The communities of people,
Yeah.
exactly. And then lastly, you have an annual event around which people talk about dogs, which is, it's in your backyard. Wasn't it just last week?
The Westminster show.
Exactly. So it is just a perfect scenario for social media. And
Do they
they're
have
out.
a puppy cam? Can you watch the puppies?
They use video. They don't have a live cam, but they use videos extensively. In fact, when we went out, we did purchase a puppy from them 4 years ago. Our dog.
What's your
So if you
dog's
see
name?
my
I've forgotten her name.
Boo.
Okay.
But what we did with video then was we shared that video with our vet who was back in Wisconsin for the vet to take a look at, their gait and what have you. So it's a wonderful way to use social media, video, and community. And I wanted to highlight that. Meadowlands Springers, we'll have the link
in the show notes. Well, that brings me, since we're talking about Facebook, that brings me to Mark Zuckerberg's pronouncement this afternoon. Basically, he wants to save the world, and he issued a 6,000-word manifesto on how he hopes Facebook can create a positive global community that will help to save the world. And he wants it to be positive. And he brought up things like the fact that people who are very passionate about things already have very involved communities, and that those communities could be devoted to things like world peace and religious freedom and, really major conversations. And while I seriously doubt that Facebook or Mark Zuckerberg is going to be able to save the world, I love that that's what he's thinking about. I love that that's what's on his mind. I love that there's somebody saying something positive today, because God knows we all need to hear it.
Apparently, you've given a little pass on the fake news thing. That was a short-lived critical time, right?
Well, we talked about that a lot. We've talked about it on the show a lot. And what we object to is that they have refused to admit that they're a news organization. That's what they are, and they have to act like one. But they're kind of taking steps in that direction.
You have to at least keep moving forward and learn from the past and see, how you could make technology work for you instead of against you. And so some of all this behavior and privacy and tracking gets a little bit onerous, right, BL? And sometimes you think, everything's manipulated.
when you have billions of people involved in something the way that Facebook does, the fact that it's not more chaotic than it is sort of amazing.
Exactly.
You
Exactly.
know, I mean, talk about management skills. We're not seeing those in too many other places. So I had a little bit post-Valentine story that I thought was quite hilarious. You know, over the years, Burger King has done some outrageous advertising, and Burger King in Israel had a special last night. And what they did was it was only after 6 p.m. and it was only in Israel, but your package included an adult toy. And this is from an Adweek story by Tim Nudd. And if you've been online since 2004, you must remember Burger King's Subservient Chicken. And that was the first brand campaign that really went viral. It had 1 million views in the first 24 hours. And at the time, I wrote in a blog post, this shows they're serious about doing it your way, and also that their ad agency is seriously deranged. I love that in an agency. So this meal, this Valentine's meal, came with 2 Whoppers, 2 packs of French fries, 2 beers, and a romantic adult toy inside. And they said, kids have their kids' meal. What about grown-ups? Shouldn't they have their own meal too, at least on Valentine's Day? So they also are experimenting with other grown-up meals lately. And they had an agency that introduced the King Senior in Brazil, and that came with 2 Whopper combos, one for a senior citizen and a free one for the person accompanying them. And, you know, they said a gift is more valuable with company. And so I just, you know, I love that they're doing stuff like that. I don't know if it sells hamburgers. I didn't know if the Subservient Chicken sold hamburgers. It was a chicken.
Right. Yeah. But you know what? Creativity is something that you've got to push the envelope. Some of it doesn't go well, but the ones that don't go well, you know where the line is, right? That's all part of it. So you got.
Well, do you remember the Subservient Chicken? I mean, it was hilarious. It was this guy. He was just like in a room. He was dressed in a chicken suit with a garter belt, and there were like, I forget what it was, like 600 things that he would do. But if you asked him to do something off color, he'd go, no, no, no. He wouldn't do it.
They did some crazy stuff with the Burger King himself, right?
Oh, he was creepy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you have another one for us, Albert?
I do have one. Let's go. I want to go to, because David is not here, I want to give him a little tip of the hat on something that he's worked on. And I've done a little bit of the video work in this project, but this is a complicated issue. And I was early in my career, I worked in television news in medium-sized markets and small markets in agriculture country. And so agriculture is a tough and complicated topic to talk about. And in this particular case, there is a company that's a distributor of different products in the retail space in agriculture, West Central, and they distribute to retailers in agricultural areas. And they have created a website called In the Furrow, which talks about how to keep crops healthy, robust, and give a high yield. And that's a complicated issue, dealing with all kinds of things from chemistry, nutrition, environmental protection issues. And so they've done a wonderful job of creating a website and leveraging their partners like Dow AgroSciences, BASF, FMC, and New Farm to contribute, as well as professors from different colleges in the agri-sciences field, to post on this particular blog on very specific topics. And so it's called In the Furrow, and they did a great job with it.
What kind of video did you do for it?
Well, just shooting really presentations and then out in field, so getting a lot of coverage of field of crops that were treated and not treated and what have you, as well as interviews with a whole wide variety of experts in certain areas.
Interesting. I know Dave was working on that site. So I have no transition for this, but Apple is doing a Shark Tank style show with Jessica Alba, Gwyneth Paltrow, Will.i.am, and this is a story from April Glaser in Recode, and the show is called Planet of the Apps, and it's also got Gary Vaynerchuk, and it consists of celebrities telling app developers why their apps will never be profitable and will never be used by anyone.
Wow.
And it's coming to Apple Music in the next few months, and it will come with an app, of course, where you can swipe left or right to signal whether you think the app seems promising. And they're actually, hoping to get funded. The developers are actually playing in order to get funded by VCs, and successful apps are going to be given prime real estate in Apple's App Store. So, it is important to remember that Apple invented the idea of the App Store in 2008. So if anybody's going to be able to make what sounds kind of like a dating site for app developers, it ought to be them.
Beautiful. I love the celebrity hook as well.
Yeah, that's great. So I just came across something that was quite hilarious this afternoon. Somebody has actually modeled the Trump handshake, and it's a simple animation, and it got retweeted by J.K. Rowling. And so his name is Anders Reitar, and his site is called Anders Reitar Visualization. And he said, it looks as though a simple animation I did yesterday has gone viral. I am humbled and would have spent a lot more than a few hours on it if I knew it was bound for more than 15 nanoseconds of fame. And I definitely would have put a link to my webpage, but c'est la vie, at least people are happy. So we'll put a link because it's
Awesome.
really quite lovely. And I mean, it really is. The handshake is really funny. So,
This is the 15 minutes of fame.
15 nanoseconds. He's right. The way it is today, it is 15 nanoseconds. So I am ready to move to bad news, unless you have some more good news.
I'll go ahead. We could always get back to the good news if we need time and we have to stretch.
Okay. Dave and
I will say one thing. Let me do a quick one, because it was a great transition because of Shark Tank.
Right.
The app, you said the App Store was about the Shark Tank kind of style.
Yeah.
I want to share with you what the Deluxe Small Business Revolution.
What's that?
This Deluxe Small Business Revolution. So this is really Deluxe. Remember Deluxe checks?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So this whole transformation, these guys at Deluxe have done one hell of a job of transitioning to digital and building a story and building a cause around small business. They call it the Deluxe Small Business Revolution. It's in its second season now. What they do is they identify a handful of small towns, mid-sized towns in the country that will compete for $500,000.
No, that's not a minor prize. Yeah.
Not a minor prize. Not a minor prize. They then do stories on each of these towns that are the finalists, and then viewers vote for the finalists online.
They vote for the town or for
They vote for the town. They vote for the town.
Why the town? I don't get it.
Because the town gets this money to do economic development, so everyone participates, not just one business. See, that's the key. The key is economic development. The key is, how do these businesses thrive and build in smaller towns? So if you go to smallbusinessrevolution.org, you'll see both the towns and the stories of each of the towns. And then within this website, they do a fantastic job of featuring some of the businesses on Main Street. So the video that's done is absolutely fantastic. I'll put in the show notes the video production firm that does this. It's a firm out of Austin, and I don't have it in my notes here right now. It's on a different page. I don't want to flip around, but they do a fantastic job with these videos. And you're able to vote for these towns, and the voting is going to end soon. So go to smallbusinessrevolution.org and look up the Deluxe Small Business Revolution, put together by Deluxe and Fast Horse, which is a company here in town. And the reason I made the Shark Tank connection is it is hosted by Robert Herjavec of Shark Tank.
Oh,
And
no kidding.
yes, and Amanda Brinkman, who is the chief branding officer at Deluxe. So
I'll
it's an
tell you
awesome
something.
program.
In one of my very first jobs, I wrote a brochure. It was entitled "The Checklist Society," and this was a very long time ago. And we are still not in a checklist society. And I, for one, am a person who writes checks because I like that process and the paper and
it's
the
tangible,
checkbook.
sure.
Yeah, I mean, I really just like that. And guess where I get my checks?
There you are.
Deluxe checks. So a little advertisement for the Beyond Social Media show. You can subscribe to our podcast on iHeartRadio, where we are the Beyond Social Media show, and you can subscribe to our YouTube channel, and of course you can go to our blog beyondsocialmediashow.com, and you can see every show we've ever done, along with the notes that link to every story we've ever covered. So I hope you will go there. And after the show tonight, late tonight, we will have a post that has the links to everything we talk about tonight. So that brings us to worst news, yes?
Yes, go.
All right. Well, I mean, I suppose this is good in some way. I don't know what way it is, but here's what happens when Trump, I hate to say that name, when the president tweets. His Twitter account uses a link shortener and bit.ly with public analytics, so you get a rough idea of how many clicks he gets when he tweets. And he currently has about 24.5 million followers, and he likes to use the public version of bit.ly, so the links, the data is freely visible. And it would be inaccessible to the public if he were to use standard URLs, but hey, he does it his way. And so he's the traffic cannon. His Twitter influence manifests itself largely in conversation driving tweets like last Thursday night's "See You in Court" missive. And it drives his followers to stories and reports he wants them to read because he governs by Twitter. And in the case of an Emerson poll that was published by The Hill, more than 678,000 people clicked on his link to it, and 72% of those clicks occurred in the U.S. and were generated 6% were in the UK and 6% in Canada, and 120,000 clicks around 32,000 originated from Facebook and other platforms that weren't Twitter. But you would put it in perspective, Kim Kardashian generated only 2,998 click-throughs from Twitter, despite the fact that she has an audience of 50 million followers, which is double his. Hillary Clinton also uses bit.ly, so a tweeted link to her concession speech, for example, generated 78,000 clicks from Twitter, which is a little bit less than Trump's average click number, but it works for him. He's governing the world. Well, President Bannon is governing the world, but anyway.
Aren't I staying out of this pretty good? Don't you think? Give me a little credit.
Yes.
But let me pick on Twitter in another way.
Okay.
You have to appreciate that, man. I love Twitter from the very beginning. I was on in 2005.
Me too.
And I just can't figure out for the life of me why they can't make money. And it's not just about the politics of Twitter. When I say politics, I mean whether you credit Twitter for the Arab Spring or the presidential elections or news media outlets all being on Twitter.
It is a source of news. It is a source of breaking news.
It's amazing. But let me go a step further. The step further, and I'll get this. We'll have this article from Brand Speak or Brand Channel, and it's a Brand Speak article where TV shows, the trending topics on just about any night during the week, there'll be at least one TV show. And you could say, even in this era of on-demand viewing.
This is us, for example.
Yeah, but even in this world of on-demand viewing where I don't have to get in front of a TV at a certain time, Twitter is helping unite people to make TV a multi-viewer event and not a singular viewer event because Twitter is helping people share and
They have
comment.
NFL football, for God's sake. They're live streaming huge events.
Yeah. So why can't they make money? I'm confounded by it.
Well, my feeling about it is that they are not good at their own publicity, and that they really they're not marketers. I think that's really the bottom line. They're full of ideas, but they're not marketers and also, like, many people agree, it would be fine if there were ads in between tweets. Who cares? You could put ads in there. We don't care. We know everything is ad supported on this planet, and they haven't done that, and they've made advertising there very expensive. You can't go in there really with a little budget like you can go in with $5 on Facebook or $10 on Facebook and boost your post. You really can't do that on Twitter. And so I think that's one of the issues. And also, beginning to advertise on Twitter is a little bit complicated. And, it's just, they have not made it easy for business, and they have not promoted themselves well to business. But, I bought stock at the beginning. I mean, 10 shares. I'm a big stockholder, but I'm not letting it go because I just believe that someday Twitter will figure out how to make money. You're right. It's absolutely impossible for them not to make money. Go figure.
You would think.
I don't think it's what they shouldn't have gone public. Twitter's not broken. There's nothing wrong with Twitter. They should not have gone public. If they didn't go public, they could have worked on what they needed to do until they figured it out without all this pressure about, they only got 3 million subscribers this quarter. That's a lot of freaking subscribers, however many they got. It's crazy.
I'll tell you, if you wanted a good exit strategy, tell them you're going to close down Twitter and Trump should go in there and buy it. I mean, it'd be just that simple. He can't live without Twitter.
Well, no, he can't. But, we could see, and I feel as though what should be happening, Dave and I have discussed this before. If I were the New York Times, the successful New York Times, if I were them, or if I were CNN, or if I were anybody, I would stop responding to his tweets, because the thing he hates most of all is no response. And, you could run his tweets on the side of the homepage, and if people wanted to read them or comment on them, they could do whatever they want. But he tweets every morning during the morning shows. He tweets to make a smokescreen be over every issue that there is. At the moment it's Russia, and so he's tweeting about whatever the hell it is he's tweeting about today. And everybody gets their knickers all in a knot every time he tweets. Like, who cares? Stop doing that.
Well, people either see it as something that they have to respond to because they're offended, like our friend that you mentioned earlier. They see it as an opportunity for humor and irony, which gives them their 15 nanoseconds of fame, right? So, and this is where companies do seek, as we take a step back and you see, how can you communicate a message effectively? You just have to stop back and take a step back and go, there's a lot to be learned in this crazy 24 months that we've just gone through.
Yeah, most of it's
I'm not giving anybody credit. I'm just saying you got to step back as a communicator and look at it and go, man, this is amazing.
Well, what every PR firm and ad agency on the planet is doing right now is figuring out what they would do if they were singled out. And so far, the only great response was Nordstrom. We said, yeah, so what?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, so what is a good response, really?
Yeah.
So that brings us to shiny new objects. And I got a couple, and you have something. So I found something that is an international news database called Kiosco, and it goes back to all the way to 1945, which is really cool. The papers are in their native languages, so you have to use some, I guess, translation software, but you get the idea from the headlines and from the pictures of what the news was, and there really is no other online repository that is quite that broad internationally, so I think that's well worth taking a look at. And tell us what you have, Albert.
Well, I have something that I'm gonna show you. So, do you have one more?
Stretch for time.
Go one more. I'm gonna show you some. Go ahead. You go.
Okay. So there's another one that's sort of like a a time machine. It's called What Was There, and it allows users to navigate familiar streets the way that they appeared in the past. So you provide a platform where anybody can upload a photograph, and it has 2 straightforward tags to provide context, location, and year. And if enough people upload enough photographs in enough places, together we're going to make a photographic history of the world, or at least any place covered by Google Maps, which is pretty much the world. So anywhere you are, take a moment, upload a photograph, and contribute to history. I think it's so cool.
Very cool. Well, you know, I'm a videographer. You know, I
Yes.
shoot. That's how I help contribute to the tuition of my 3 kids in college. I want to show you a device that I just purchased from a place that's near and dear to your heart, right down the street from you, B&H Photo.
Oh my God, that's such a great place.
Okay, so this is a Fayutech gimbal, and it's for
What?
iPhones. It's a gimbal, and it allows you to move very smoothly with your iPhone if you're taking shots. So instead of using your hand, watch this. I'm going to turn it on, and you'll see it will motorize and level off. You can see that the phone is vertical, right? You see it?
Uh-huh.
Okay, watch this. And now it's level. And so you could take very smooth, just beautiful, smooth video, moving it around, walking, holding it up, down, underneath. And I'll show you some sample video that I've taken with this. It's called a Fayutech gimbal. It's a 3-axis gimbal for iPhones.
How much did it cost?
$180, which is great from a gimbal standpoint.
Okay.
Great.
I was at the Apple Store a few weeks ago taking an iPhone videography course, and they sell it there too. And you know, it's just incredible. I mean, whole movies are being shot with iPhones, and the fidelity of the images has just continued to get better and better all the time. And I learned a whole bunch of new things from this guy because I was the only one in the class. It was so much fun.
I'm a big believer in it. I use it. I don't use it as my main camera, but for cutaway shots and different moving type of shots, it's perfect. I do a lot of shooting down in the furniture industry in North Carolina at different shows and interior design shows, and there's a lot of that type of video that requires movement across large credenzas, what have you, and furniture. And so
that's a great tool for that.
Oh, beautiful tool. Yep.
Yeah. So I have an app that is an app called Hater, and it's a dating app that connects you with people who hate the same things that you do.
That's great. That's a great one.
It's an iOS app only, and you have to have a Facebook account. And then once you log in, it sets up a basic profile, and then you go in and you customize and you swap around the photos, and you alter the age range of people you want to interact with. And they have 3,000 topics, and you can swipe 4 ways to indicate you like, dislike, love, or hate any given topic. And then they start finding matches for you, and you scroll through the matches like any other dating app, and you swipe left on those you're not interested in and right on someone you'd like to get to know. And so, like, one of the examples was if you're a hater of Donald Trump, and another one was Harambe. And for Donald Trump, 78% of the people on the app hated him. And and it has, I mean, it's quite complex. And I'm not sure whether you would actually, you know, meet the partner of your dreams based on what you hate, but it's definitely different than the other apps that are out there.
Oh, that's brilliant. I love it.
So if you don't have another, I think we're done.
We're good.
We're good? So that brings us to the end of episode 175 of the Beyond Social Media Show. And we will have links to everything we discussed, and it will be on beyondsocialmediashow.com/175. And we hope when you're there, you'll give us a review and tell us what you think. And David Erickson, who's not here tonight, is on Twitter as D. Erickson. He blogs at eStrategyBlog.com and CreativePR.com/blog, both of which are fabulous. And Albert, tell us where you are.
I'm at Albert Marucci on Twitter, Albert Marucci on Twitter, and giveitathink.com. Giveitathink.com is my video production website, and a bunch of videos there and some blog posts about how to go about creating videos and the things you need to think through as you do videos for business. But giveitathink.com and Albert Marucci on Twitter.
And I am BL Ochman, and on Twitter I am at What's Next, and my blog is what'snextblog.com. I also blog at Pawfun. I'm on YouTube, and of course occasionally on Facebook. And the show is BeyondSocialMediaShow.com. We're on YouTube as Beyond Social Media Show. We're on Google+. On Twitter, we're at BS Media Show. We're on iTunes, Stitcher, and iHeartRadio, so you can download the podcast and listen at your leisure. Subscribe, and then you won't miss any of the shows. And Dave and I will be back next week, same bat channel, same bat time. And Albert, it was so much fun to have you here tonight.
Oh.
Thank you so much for joining. It was like old times.
Great being back. Thanks so much for having me, BL.
Thank you.